Okay. Hi there, Facebook. Haven't done one of these in a little while, so I thought I'd do a live to introduce the puppy, which you guys have probably been seeing on social media. And is the latest addition to my family, and I'll tell you about some upcoming things that will go next week. Oh, excellent. People are joining. All right, so I'm gonna just swipe that. Okay. I can read the comments. Okay, so the camera's flipped, so everything's probably in reverse, hence the home sign behind me. So, yeah, obviously on social media I posted that I've got my newest addition, puppy, which isn't a Labradoodle or a German Pointer or a Patterdale. He's a giant Schnauzer puppy, and he is now 9 weeks old, and he has been named, I'm not going to say his name in front of his earshot, but S-W-I-P-E, and I'm really pedantic about my puppy's names not being used unless I'm going to pair it with food. I'm going to show you what he's begun to learn already. And he's been with me since last Friday. Since Friday. No, yeah. So only a couple of days, really, or a very short period of time. And the most common asked question is why a giant Schnauzer and why a puppy. So the first response to the first question is, it actually is a bit of a story to this, as to why I have him. So my long-term friend Mari, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce Mari's second name. She's Finnish and she has a very unusual second name. But she trained with me with a giant Schnauzer called Fingal years ago. So he would have been probably about 8, 9 by now, so quite a lot. Don't do that. Come here. Good boy. Get you something to occupy you whilst I'm talking. So, cover box. Excellent. So, Mari trained with me with Fingal, and she turned up for this lesson. She started with me with an older dog briefly before she got a puppy, and she imported this particular puppy, Fingal, with giant Schnauzer. And he was an absolutely amazing dog. Anybody that had the good fortune to ever meet Mari and Fingal would tell you what an incredible team they grew into and become. And Mari trained Fingal with me since she literally, I think, the second day she ever had him in the country. She brought him to a lesson. You could tell what a great dog he was. And he was the first example of the breed that I met that was so driven and so intense and so clever, brilliant to teach, brilliant to train, an all-round brilliant dog. And I asked Mari about, is he unusual, is he a one-off? And she said, no, the breed is quite like that if they're working bred. So Fingal went on to be, today is the only IGP3 qualified Schnauzer ever to be in this country, a male, I should say, and one of only 2 who went to the World Championships in IGP. So that was a huge testament to Mari, Fingal, and obviously the work that we did with him, and what an incredible dog he turned into. Unfortunately, he was actually killed, very, very tragically, but Mari then got another young Schnauzer, and he is equally on par, as good a dog as Fingal. So I fell in love with the breed because of Mari, really. So, and Mari actually posted pictures of a prospective puppy that she was getting from this particular litter, Ogre, and I saw them on Facebook, as you do, and I messaged Mari about the litter and the breeding, and I knew I'd seen the father, I knew I liked the father, and I'd seen the mother, and I knew I liked the mother, and I actually was up in the locality of his breeder and met Mari to have a look at the litter, and was really, really liked the whole litter. And at the time I wasn't really considering a puppy. I have a lot of young dogs, and I love training young dogs, but I'm very much a person that follows my heart as opposed to my head. And I went backwards and forth and undenied about it for a long time, and made the decision that I'm going to let my heart rule my head and have him. Obviously, this year was throwing me a little bit because I unexpectedly lost 3 dogs this year, at the beginning of the year. Thriller, Scooter and Punch, which really threw me. I wasn't obviously expecting to lose certainly Punch at such a young age, and it just makes you appreciate that life is very short, and you don't have your dogs for long enough, and enjoy them. And if you want to get the puppy, my mantra is get the puppy. So the puppy turned up. He's so far he's obviously had a lot thrown at him. He's changed homes. He's met my dogs. He has obviously been out and about with me, travelled in the vehicle, loads of different things which our puppies have to undergo, and he's taken all in stride. So I'm really pleased with how he has been. At this stage, my primary focus is getting the puppy in a routine, getting him happy and comfortable in my home. So getting him in a routine, meaning sleeping at night, which he's doing really well. So my setup with my puppies, anybody that's got a puppy, I'm always have my puppies somewhere next to me. In the past, I might sleep in the living room with them. I've got him in a crate in my bedroom. I don't like the idea of them screaming indefinitely, and that's not the way in which I want my dogs to come into my home. So I always have them with me in a crate next to me, and I can assure them and keep them content and happy whilst they get themselves into my home and they become more comfortable. For me, bringing a puppy into a new home from their perspective is very traumatic, and I want to ease that transitional period as much as I possibly can. So for me, it's really important that they learn to be secure in my home, and I don't want them to be stressed in my home. So letting the puppy scream in a cage for an indefinite period of time for me isn't how I want my dogs to learn to be comfortable and confident. It's not, obviously the puppy sometimes, for example, he was in a crate this morning. He was overtired. He's made a little whinged for a little bit, and then he was overtired and he conked out and went to sleep. That I have no issues with, but I certainly don't want my puppy screaming for hours on end when they first come into my home, or at all. So I have my puppies in a crate next to me. I would have a crate also in the living room. I haven't got one at the moment, simply because it's just as easy to have him in the living room, and he's got loads of stuff in the corner, so that's her little kitchen area, so I've just left it too. It's just as easy to have the puppy to create another room. And I also like them to have downtime through the day, so it's somewhere that I can shut the windows, I can create a quiet space for him so he can get some rest, which is really important, while she's buzzing around, he's buzzing around in the living room, and potentially unsettling him. I like my puppies to have rest. Puppies need a lot of sleep, so it's really important that they have that space of their own, okay? So at this stage, those are my primary concerns, getting him comfortable, and obviously getting him eating, drinking, and in a routine in terms of toileting. He had a couple of accidents when he first came, and that was just really about him being in a different place. But now that we're getting into a routine, he's getting much better. He hasn't as yet had an accident today in the house, but the day is not over. And getting him into a feeding routine. So often what happens with obviously the breeders, they're fed en masse, which is normally the case. So even getting the puppy to eat from your hand, which is one of the things that I do with my dogs when I first have them at home. Good boy. I first have them at home, I like to hand feed them to get them focused on me and into me, which is what I've been doing with him. So he's been hand fed. Obviously, as you can see, he's got a collar on. This is on when I'm with him and I can supervise him, and it goes off him when he's in a crate for safety purposes. This is just a soft buckle collar. You can get a snap one, it's just as easy, but this is one that fits in, so I just use that on him. I haven't attached anything to it at this stage. It's just getting him comfortable with wearing a collar, and obviously getting him, he was a bit reluctant. He wasn't, when I first got him, I think he was a little bit motion sick, so he wasn't eating the first day. Second day he definitely improved, but it definitely means there is a little bit of a pattern when he travels. He definitely isn't great in travelling at the moment, and I think that's quite an unusual experience for a puppy. So that's not unusual for puppies to have some sickness. What I will do is do short journeys, not feed him around when I'm about to travel, so he's less likely to be sick, and feed him on when I get to location. So I've started to do that a little bit with him. And obviously getting him to meet all my dogs. My dogs, unfortunately, are very social with other dogs. So, you can put her off if you want to. So they've taken meeting the puppy in their stride. Good boy, are you doing scratching? They've taken meeting a new puppy in their stride. They're very comfortable and confident with the other dogs. Nobody's shown any particular interest with him other than Jungle. She did want to play with him, just because of his size and her size. Hey, good boy. I've curbed that a little bit at the moment, and over time they can play together. But because he's so tiny and she's quite powerful, I've steered away from that at the moment. And also I want to get my relationship going with him. So hand feeding is one of the things that I do with puppies when I get them home. Creating being secure and comfortable in my home is another thing, and starting to then build little bits of interaction with him. I haven't trained him as such. It's really just about relationship building at this stage and getting the puppy in a routine in my home. So I have done a little bit on beginning teaching his name, which I just do with, I pair his name initially with just feeding him, so classically conditioning his name, he's wanting to respond to his name. I have some of his kibble in my pocket, which he's on at the moment, and again, my dogs are raw fed, so I will transition him over to that gradually probably by the end of the week he'll be on, but in the week he'll be on his raw. For the moment, obviously, because he's had the motion sickness, I want to just be sensitive to his needs and making sure that he doesn't have too many changes at first, okay? Hey, look. Now let's see. So, there you go. Good. Oh, yes. Got that? Oh, hang on, drop a bit. Good boy. What's that? Yeah. Oh, it's just a little way. You can just play with it. Good boy. Good. Oh. Good boy. Yeah, good. Good boy. Good. So, when people tend to, when they're puppies, they want to dive in and start training them, certainly sports people, or for sports, really, for me, it's about creating that relationship with the dog and finding the things that the dog likes. So you can see I've got food in my hand and he's a bit nonplussed about it. So his appetite or his food drive can be a little bit varied. Sometimes he's really into his food. Sometimes he can give or take it. So we'll work on that once I'll make the food really palatable, make it really, really high value, and good boy, and also add motion to my food to get him more interested in it. And he's had raw last night, which he really, really seems to like, so I'll probably use some of that to train him. But it's really just working out what the puppy wants. This time to play with it. Again, there's no point me doing anything with him at this stage because I don't have reinforcement I can use for him. So, my first priority is obviously getting them comfortable. Second priority is obviously finding out, establishing a routine. Then you want to find out what reinforcement you can use with your puppy or your dog, okay? So, we have done a little bit of play. So I have got a toy up here, which just to see if he shows any interest in it, which he has responded to really nicely, and shown interest in his toy, which is great, which means it's something that I can use later on to play with him. This is a chaser toy from... actually, Chaser Toys. Chaser Toy by Chaser Toys. This is a really nice, bright coloured one, soft, fleecy end, elastic tugging bit, so it cushions the impact whilst I play with him, and it's on obviously a long handle, which is great, so he isn't rehearsing running off with it. Good boy. So, he doesn't understand how to bring the toy back, really, good boy. Really normal for puppies, yeah, he's 9 weeks old, he hasn't had that talk. That will be one of the things that I'll work on over the next couple of weeks, getting him to bring a toy back. And obviously the type of dog he is, he's from very strong working lines, he will probably be quite possessive of toys, so I'll teach him to release the toy. Yeah, quite on a cue, so we'll work on that. That will be another priority. Oh, good. Yay, good boy, good. So you can see he doesn't want to bring it directly back to me, he just wants to wander off with it. Again, nice asset to have that he's possessive. Good boy. Good. But obviously for training, I want him to be able to bring that toy back. So that's another little thing that I'll be working on. But at this stage, all I want is this dog to show interest. I can mould him bringing the toy back over time. So that's another little thing we'll work on. Good boy. And again, when he, the first couple of days, it wasn't that he doesn't like toys, he was just overwhelmed by change of environment and, getting him in a routine, etc. So I didn't even attempt to play with him, to be truthful. So little tiny tugs there, touching him, fussing him, getting him comfortable with my hands on him. Good boy. Oh, yes. Good. Good. Over the next couple of days, I'll start, once I've got him into food, I'll start to do little foundation elements of shaping and little bits of obedience foundation, and start that ball rolling. And working on his recall, that will be a really massive priority, teaching him to respond to his name. I have done that when I've started that a little bit, by saying his name and pairing it with food, and then when he's wandering around saying his name, and as he comes towards me, touching his collar and giving him food. So just putting in those little baby steps to teach him to respond to his name, which is a huge part of his training and development and my foundation training, a really strong recall. And then I'll start doing some foundation shaping, some mixture choice, and just creating that bond and that relationship. So over the next couple of weeks, lots is going to be happening in his life, as well as meeting other dogs, seeing other things, meeting new people. So for puppies, there's a lot going on. I've got a seminar this weekend, which he will probably come along with me to, and he will get to probably meet people and socialise there. I'm fortunate, obviously, with what I do, I can get people that are dog savvy to meet my puppies. But I don't overface my puppy. I let the puppy dictate the rate of which I do all that with. I don't get immersed in trying my dog to meet loads and loads of people. It's about the dog having positive experiences. So, oh boy, let's pick that up. Pick it up. Well done. So he's shown a nice bit of interest in there, which is great for a 9-week-old puppy. I'm going to just pop that away and put it up on the side there. And I can do little tiny sessions of just playing with him. Oh, because I don't want those. Whoa, do you want that? Yeah, good. Yeah, this is nice. So he's a little bit nonplussed about this food. So I need to put my thinking cap on and possibly use something like chicken or turkey, something that's not going to upset his stomach, to start to get him, so I can do more technical things. And food obviously is easier than a lot of things to train than a toy. And obviously I need to teach his toy skills, so it's all about those little layers that we put in. Alright, so next week, on the first, starting from the Monday, I'm going to be doing a live with Swipe, ignore that, showing you some baby foundations, discussing how I literally start my puppies off with building their understanding for that foundation, and I'm going to be doing that all next week. So if you want to join me for some lives, looking at how I start my puppies off with obedience foundations, all the little exercises and things that I teach them to start them off, to lay the foundation for them not only to be a great family pet, but also hopefully a great sports dog. You can join me next week, and there's going to be a great giveaway and some nice exciting news about my courses that I've got coming up, and a fantastic giveaway for 2 people. So hopefully next week I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. But I wonder if anybody's got any questions about the puppy. Let's have a quick look before I wrap up. And what are you going to be building him for? Hang on a second. Let's have a quick look. Oh gosh, loads of people. Okay, let's have a quick look. Any questions? Come closer to the phone. Oh, come closer to the phone. Oh, hopefully you can hear me now. He's gorgeous. Kate, you're talking about the dog or me? Oh, my hair doesn't look that great, but yeah, thank you. He is great. Always get the puppy. Oh gosh, okay. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, Corin would have known Fingal and would have vouched for what an amazing dog he was. Yeah, and he's a little bit of, if he's a fraction of that dog, I'll be happy. Yeah, he was a pretty incredible dog. They were an incredible team, to be fair. Yeah, absolutely. Those that knew Fingal would remember him really well. I know you want to go out. You can go down in a second. Okay, let's have a look. Woo! Hang on a second. Let's have a look. It looks bigger than Vinny already. Yeah, he's probably not far off Vinny's size, actually, Claire. I think he'll be a little bit bigger than Vinny in the long run. I hope so, anyway, especially for a giant. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Mia, what are you going to be building him for? So, Mia, Mia, who actually, so you obviously know his father very well. So hopefully, definitely obedience. We'll do obedience with him, and hopefully, possibly IGP. Obviously, that's what his breeding is about. But I'll let the dog dictate. I'm very much about what my dogs like to do, and what they what they enjoy, what I enjoy doing with them. I like to dabble in a lot of dog sports, as most of you will know that follow my page. So we'll see what he does, see what he comes up with. But the foundation I lay are always the same, irrespective of the sport I'm training a dog for, and then the specifics are built on those foundations. So I'll start him off as I would any of my dogs, first and foremost to be a great family pet, and then the foundation for a great sports dog. So we'll see what he does. Okay, let's move on. Let's have a look. What do you say a sports dog? What makes a great... Oh, it's a great question. What do you say is a great sports dog? What makes a great sports dog? So that's subjective, in all honesty, Mia. I think what makes a sports dog is similar things to what makes a great family pet. So confidence definitely is a big one. The dog being confidence in itself. I want the dog to have a really good on and off switch. So that's really, really important. I'm definitely going to be showing how I teach that next week. How I start that off with a puppy. I want the dog to understand to switch on and be focused when I ask them to, and also to switch off and to chill out and be a pet dog, inverted commas, when I want them to. I have a lot of dogs. I love a lot of high drive dogs. If they were constantly asking to do things, it would not only be a bit of pain, but it could also lead to issues domestically. And also, I like them to have downtime. I like them to be... What do I see what Nevy's toys are doing? I want them to be... Good boy, come here. Go out. I'll go out in a second. I want them to be family pets first and foremost. My dogs all live together. They get exercise together. It's really important that they all get on. So that's a huge priority for me. So definitely an off switch is a really, really important one. And also a dog that's focused, really, really important, and attentive and responsive to my cues and what I ask of them. And that all starts from his age. So hopefully next week I'm going to show you some of the things I do with the puppy, and then some of my older dogs, and giving you an insight into how I rear my dogs. Alright? Oh, thank you, Miss Flower. What breed is he from? So he was bred by somebody called Tony Carter, who is in Kettering. Really, really nice guy, out of his bitch, Clodagh, and a dog called Hector, who is owned by somebody called Kevin House. Super, super, super dog. Absolutely fantastic dog. It was actually Hector I saw first, and was so impressed by him and blown away that when the opportunity to have a pup from him came up, I, as you can see, took the opportunity. So yeah, really great dog. Are you going to see Paco? So hopefully Paco, obviously I did a lot of IGP training with my boxer, Punch, but that never came to fruition because of his health and his soundness. It was, a very bitter pill to swallow that he never reached his full potential competitively, whilst he was a fantastic dog. But he's, you can't fight health with a dog, unfortunately. So I definitely have the yearning and the desire to do IGP with the dog. Jungle is currently being trained for IGP. My intention is to do it with her. But having made learnt a lesson with Punch, where I only did one sport, I only trained him solely for IGP. And then when he had shoulder issues, in hindsight, I wished I'd trained him for competitive or transition to competition obedience with him sooner. Just because it would have meant that I could have done a sport with him, and he probably could have worked, had a career in that. But hindsight is a wonderful thing. So with the lesson I learnt with him was, which with Jungle, my intention is to do competitive obedience and IGP, two sports, because IGP is very physically demanding. If the dog has something untoward happened, as it did with Punch, it means that you can still do something with the dog competitively and do a sport and something you can enjoy together, nose work, tracking, etc. I didn't do that with Punch, and I really regret that. And then once I definitely couldn't compete with him. Unfortunately, he passed really early. So a lot of regret with him, which hopefully I'm gonna make amends with my future dogs. But they'll be whatever they are. The puppy will be whatever he is. It's really about. I train dogs because I enjoy it. It's my passion, and I love the challenge of having a different breed of dog. Hence why I've had so many different breeds of dogs over the years. And I love the challenge that each one presents. Whilst all dogs are individuals, certainly within breeds and different breeds, you definitely get, like a Schnauzer. He's going to be a dog that's going to need more time than, say, a little border collie. And that's absolutely fine. You allow the dog to dictate the pace that you work at. And you know, you're talking about not necessarily how they start, but where they end up. So I'll see how he goes. He might be a puppy. You know, in his litter in particular, I initially pulled to one of the other puppies on physicality, but I changed my mind because he was a bigger puppy. He was slightly heavier. I think he's going to be a big dog, and he was definitely a dog that looked like he's going to need more time to develop. He will absolutely be a fantastic dog, but he was slightly smaller, a little bit more wiry, a little bit more active, a bit more busy, which is what suits my personality. So when you're picking puppies, that's something to consider. There is no, in my opinion, there is no such thing as a pick of the litter per se, because it's really about meshing puppies, personalities with the owner. Oh, you haven't got the same beard. Good boy, hang on. You'll get fidgety, you probably want to go out. Okay. The pup will be what you make it. You've got the lines rest down to you. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So, how would you deal with a non-puppy friendly... Oh, Jane, how would you deal with a non-puppy friendly pack member? So, my dogs are very good, and I can move quick through the process of introducing a puppy to my other dogs. But Strut, my old Malinois, he was definitely not. I always would be very, very cautious and respectful. Once he accepted them, he was absolutely brilliant. But when they were tiny, so they were the puppy's age, I would most definitely not allow him to interact with my pups because he wasn't great with other dogs, and I didn't want to put the puppy at risk. Good boy. So I would have a crate set up with the puppy. He would be in the same locality as the puppy. He'd be able to see it, you know, sniff the crate, sniff nose to nose, etc., etc. And I would do it progressively over time. And the first interaction I would have would be, it would be an open space, a neutral open space where, not my garden, for example. The puppy would be on the lead, Strut would be off the lead, because he wouldn't approach the puppy. And I would gradually, over a period of weeks or days, depending on the puppy, depending on the situation, allow him to approach or meet the puppy in his own space. With every puppy I had, once he went out for a walk with them, he instantaneously accepted them. So, but that I suspect was a combination of all the layers that put before, like doing it progressively and taking my time, and then allowing him to not be forced to ingratiate himself with the puppy. So yeah, just be cautious, think safety first, protect the puppy, protect your older dog. You're getting bored, aren't you? And yeah, just don't rush the process. You know, it can take months with some dogs. But if you're talking about having dogs for years, in the grand scheme of things, a couple of months of taking your time is worth it for the greater game. Okay. What's the best one? Oh yeah, I'm really excited about having him here. It's obviously my first giant Schnauzer. I love the breed, and obviously, as I explained earlier, you know, I was so blown away by Hector. I'm really, really excited about him. If he's a fraction of his dad, I'll be happy. So yeah. Okay, Tony's was first. Finger was the first male. Oh gosh, Murray, hang on. I can't read what you said. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, Finger was an amazing dog, and yeah, I think we're both very lucky to have these puppies. So we'll see what we do with them. Right, okay, let's have a look. Yeah, anyone can follow next week, Simon. There will be 3 lives. I'll post the times on the day. Monday will be the first one. I'll post it obviously when I'm going to do the live in the day, just to remind my routine. And then a couple more, and I'll let you know the times for those. You're getting twitchy. But yeah, more the merrier. By all means, join. There's going to be lots of things that I do with my dogs, and all little tiny obedience skills you can have a look at and pick up some tips. All right? Okay. Okay. I think so. Oh gosh. Okay, I think that's it. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. As I say, I'm really, really excited about what this puppy will be. So he certainly looks or feels like he could be quite a nice dog. It will be down to me to bring the best out of him, all things being equal. But yeah, next week, look forward to doing some training with him live. So it could go really, really badly, or it could be really fantastic. Who's to know? But join me next week. Monday will be the first one. There's going to be a couple next week, showing you some things I do with my dogs, starting them off as for foundation for dog sports, and specifically obedience skills. All right. So for now, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. I'm going to walk my dogs and let this boy out for a wee. See you later. Bye.